Welcome to my channel. She was only 14, just a regular teenager with dreams, jokes, and a walk planned to the store with her friend. A Saturday afternoon in the summer of 1975 in Columbus, Ohio. The kind of day that should have ended with soda and laughter. But instead, it ended with heartbreak, confusion, and nearly 40 years of unanswered questions. Her name was Christie Mullins. And what happened to her that day, how she vanished, was brutally murdered, and then how someone completely innocent was blamed, shocked a city. But the real story? The real story took decades to come out. It started with a short walk. Christie and her friend had left the house and were heading to the Graceland shopping center. It's the kind of place every teenager knew. They stopped to chat, took their time, like kids do. Then Christie told her friend she'd be right back. She wanted to check something near the woods behind the shopping center. She never came back. Hours passed. Concern grew. Eventually, her body was discovered in the wooded area, partially hidden, her skull crushed by a 2x4 plank of wood. The violence of the crime shook the community, but then came a strange twist. Just a few hours later, a man named Jack Allen Carmen was arrested. Jack was developmentally disabled and easily confused. During questioning, he gave a confused and inaccurate confession, details that didn't match up, timelines that didn't make sense. But the system was eager for a quick resolution. Jack was charged, jailed, put through a trial, and eventually acquitted. Because it was clear to many that he didn't do it. The evidence was flimsy, the confession unreliable. And most of all, there were other witnesses, and even another man who'd acted suspiciously that day. But the case was closed in every other sense, closed in the way that haunts families. There was no justice, no closure, just silence. And silence has a way of growing louder over the years, especially when it surrounds the murder of a child. Now, here's where it takes an eerie turn. At the time of the murder, a man named Henry Newell Jr. was the one who reported finding Christie's body. He played the part of the witness, not the suspect. Police didn't look into him too deeply. Decades later, in 2012, Henry's niece came forward with a chilling confession. She said that when she was just 10 years old, her uncle Henry had told her that he had killed a girl. At first, she didn't understand the weight of what he was saying. But years passed, and she remembered. And she realized what it meant. With new attention on the case, detectives reopened the files. They went back to the original scene, re-interviewed people, and started digging into Henry Newell Jr. again. They found his statements from 1975 odd and inconsistent. They also uncovered behavior that didn't line up with an innocent witness. It all made sense now. Sadly, Henry had died in 2013, just before the truth finally caught up with him. He was never brought to justice in a courtroom. He never stood trial. But police were finally confident enough to name him as the true killer of Christie Mullins. After nearly 40 years, the case was officially closed. But justice delayed doesn't always mean justice denied. For Christie's family, this wasn't the ending they wanted, but it was the truth they needed. The lies had lasted too long. The silence had taken too much. This case is about more than a murder. It's about the deep cracks in the justice system. It's about how someone vulnerable like Jack Carmen can be targeted just because they're easy to manipulate. And it's about how important it is to keep fighting for the truth, even when it seems too late. So let's talk about what we can learn from all this. Detailed safety tips and awareness lessons. 1. Teach children the power of the buddy system. Never walk alone, especially near secluded areas like woods, alleys, or isolated back paths. Encourage children and teens to always bring a friend, stay in public view, and let someone know where they are going and when they'll return. 2. Stay away from isolated shortcuts. Even if it seems faster, avoid wooded trails, vacant lots, or abandoned buildings. These are high-risk zones where visibility is limited and escape is difficult. Parents should walk routes with children and teach them the safest paths. 3. The danger might not look dangerous. Christie's killer pretended to be a bystander. Remind kids that strangers don't always look scary. Danger can come from someone acting helpful or friendly. Teach them to trust their instincts even if someone seems harmless. 4. Trust and support. Vulnerable people in the justice system. False confessions happen, especially from individuals with cognitive impairments. As a society, we must advocate for proper legal representation, trauma-informed interrogation practices, and safeguards to prevent rushed convictions. 5. Don't ignore confessions, even years later. If someone makes a disturbing confession, no matter how long ago it happened, take it seriously. In this case, a niece remembered what her uncle said decades earlier. Her voice brought justice. If you hear something, speak up. 6. Reopening cold cases saves lives and souls. Just because a case is closed doesn't mean the truth was found. Encourage your community and local leaders to reopen suspicious cold cases, especially if there's new evidence or testimony. Justice delayed shouldn't mean justice denied. 7. Support victims' families with action, not silence. Families of murder victims often feel isolated. Don't let their stories fade. Share their loved ones' names, advocate for justice, and push for reinvestigation if things don't add up. 8. Be cautious. When witnesses are too involved. In some cases, perpetrators insert themselves into investigations, pretending to help. Investigators and the public alike should scrutinize anyone who finds a body or offers suspiciously detailed accounts, especially if the evidence doesn't align. 9. Document everything, even the small details. If you witness anything unusual, even if it doesn't seem directly related, write it down and report it. Minor details, like seeing someone walk into the woods alone, can help reconstruct a timeline or debunk false confessions. 10. Empower youth to speak up. Teach kids and teens that it's always okay to speak out if something feels wrong. Whether it's something they saw, heard, or experienced, their voice matters. Even decades later, it could be the missing piece. Christie was just a girl on her way to the store. Her life was stolen in an instant, and her story reminds us that behind every headline is a human life, a family shattered, and a lesson we should never forget. If this story moved you, please subscribe for more real cases and the safety lessons we can take from them. Together, we can honor the victims and protect the living.